The market currently is saturated with Chinese tablet PCs powered by the Intel Atom X5 SoCs Z8300 and Z8350. One problem of this is that this SoC is old and kinda slow, so it definitely is time to move on and build in more powerful processors. Well, some manufacturers actually start doing so and use Core M or Atom X7 chips for their tablets. The more cost-efficient way, of course, is using X7 chips, and one of those X7 powered tablets is the Teclast Tbook 16 Power, which we have put to the test for you guys. I'm Christopher for ChinaMobileMag, enjoy watching. So when you order the Teclast Tbook 16 Power at around $310, you have to know that you don't get the type cover. So if you want to get the type cover, which we do recommend, you need to purchase it for an extra $20 to $30. The Teclast Tbook 16 Power doesn't come with much accessories. There is just a power cable and some paperwork. A USB Type-C cable, OTG adapter or even a power supply are all missing, so Teclast apply a bring your own policy here. Design-wise, the Teclast Tbook 16 Power does remind us a lot about a Microsoft Surface. The body is built in a sandwich style with the rear consisting of metal, the frame of solid plastic with a quality feel to it, and the front of course is made from glass. On the rear, the Teclast Tbook 16 Power boasts a continuously adjustable kickstand which is made from metal. The stand can be bent easily, but so far this hasn't been a problem. Something annoying is that sometimes you get black fingers when touching the mechanism due to some grease being applied to those parts. The ports and slots are situated on the left of the tablet PC. Those include a micro SD slot below a protective lid, one micro HDMI port, one microphone opening, one DC in port, one USB Type-C port, one USB 3.0 port and one 3.5mm headphone jack. The docking port for the type cover is situated on the lower frame of the tablet. The dock attaches using magnets and plastic pins prevent it from sliding around. On the right side of the tablet there are two speakers, which is kinda strange since stereo speakers seem kinda pointless if they are both placed on the same side. On the front there is the typical Windows button, which is touch sensitive and opens the Windows 10 Start menu. There also is a webcam above the screen. What we miss is a status LED or charging indicator. Let's move away from the tablet for a minute and check out the optional type cover. This one is made from some material that feels a little bit like fabric and it is sturdy enough for convenient lab use. The trackpad is a bit too small, but that enables the keyboard to be larger, and it is for a reason since the keys are much larger than on most other type covers. This pays off when you are typing longer stuff on your tablet. Indeed, it feels great typing on this type cover. The key travel is nice and there is a good amount of resistance when pressing the keys. The buttons also do sit in place tightly and do not rattle at all. Skipped letters happen very seldom if you try to hit the keys a bit harder. Something very neat is that, like on the Microsoft Surface, you can change the angle of the keyboard by clipping it onto the tablet's front. The touchpad itself does work nicely and is surprisingly accurate. Multi-touch gestures do work well. Just the low height of the trackpad is extremely annoying since you cannot move the cursor across the screen without having to lift your finger, except you set the cursor speed to the maximum. Some reviews claim that due to the trackpad's dimensions, it often happens that Windows gestures are accidentally triggered. Anyhow, we can't confirm this since Windows gestures simply are not supported on the trackpad of our unit. Let's go back to the tablet with a look at the screen. This one is 11.6 inches in size and operates at 1920 by 1080 pixels resolution. The pixel density of course isn't the highest, but it still is good enough for proper sharpness and pixels are only visible once you come very close. Color reproduction and contrast of the used LCD panel are good, so the screen is good enough for pictures and movies. But sadly, only indoors, since the screen brightness is way too low for outdoor use. As soon as you step outside, it becomes hard to see stuff at the screen, even if the sun isn't shining on it directly. In addition, Teclast doesn't use a fully laminated panel, so there is a gap in between the glass and the LCD panel. Despite the gap being thin, it still causes a bit of reflection, which reduces viewing angles. The touch panel used is a 10-point supporting unit with a very good reaction time that enables convenient on-screen typing. Also, the touch resolution is pretty high, which results in smooth scrolling and high accuracy. The screen glass appears to be less prone to scratches than on previous Teclast devices. The fingerprint magnet properties are still there, however. So what's inside the Teclast Tbook 16 Power? Well, there is an Intel Atom X7 Z8750 quad-core SoC which clocks its cores with up to 2.56 GHz. The GPU is a powerful Intel HD Graphics 405 with 16 execution units. In addition, there are a whopping 8 GB of LPDDR3 RAM, which reach around 6 GB per second throughput, and 64 GB of eMMC memory, which reach a speed of 120 MB per second while reading and 45 MB per second while writing. On Windows, the tablet reached 110,000 points in Antutu, which is a pretty good result. And indeed, this high score is reflected when actually working with this tablet PC. Compared to those old Z8300 tablets, the difference is like day and night. Windows just runs very smooth on it, and it continues to do so when running lots of apps at once. Microsoft Office does run much smoother too, and even Google Chrome is usable, though not buttery smooth, but at least it doesn't stutter like on the old Atom X5 platform. Sure, the Tbook 16 Power can't keep up with a Core M tablet performance-wise, but it does come close sometimes and for sure offers enough processing grunt for enjoyable office work and web browsing performance. Another thing we like about the Teclast Tbook 16 Power is the full USB 3.0 port, which even delivers power to drive an external 2.5-inch HDD. What's more, there is a USB Type-C port which doesn't deliver power for hard drives, but can be used to charge the tablet and also offers support for video output, so you can use a USB Type-C to HDMI adapter. So are there any downsides? Well, of course, as usual, Teclast screwed up the cooling. During light office use and web browsing we measured 60 degrees Celsius on the SoC. Once you beef up load a bit with some multitasking, temps quickly rise to 70 or even 80 degrees Celsius. And once you start gaming, the processor will start to activate thermal throttling, which means performance drop. You really notice that there isn't any decent cooling system inside, since when touching the body, it doesn't get hot at all while the processor is burning according to its internal sensors. So heat isn't transferred out of the body, which of course is bad. Another thing we dislike is the RAM frequency, which is set to 1066 MHz instead of 1600 MHz. Sadly, like on some other tablets, this can't be changed within the tablet's BIOS without the tablet crashing, so the RAM obviously doesn't support a higher clock. That's sad, since this would have improved performance a bit. Software-wise, the Teclast Tbook 16 Power runs Windows 10 Home and Android 6.0 Marshmallow in a dual boot setup. Sadly, our Android installation has been destroyed by some OTA update, so we decided to do a clean install of Windows and use the full memory for it in our unit. Fun fact, the key inside the BIOS does activate Windows 10 Pro instead of with Windows 10 Home that comes pre-installed. So if you want to run Windows 10 Pro, just do a clean install using the official ISO file from Microsoft. There are some drivers needed for a clean installation which don't ship with Windows, so make sure to download the driver package that we link down below in the video description. A clean install, by the way, is worth the work, since it does improve both performance and battery life for some reason. Gamers, by the way, should stay away from the Teclast Tbook 16 Power for now, at least if you wanna play on Windows. For some reason, each and every 3D games from the Windows Store crashes immediately once 3D rendering starts. This seems to be a driver issue, since under Android we didn't face this issue. Network support of the Teclast Tbook 16 Power covers Wi-Fi 802.11 BGN and Bluetooth 4.0. Bluetooth did work very well during our tests. The Wi-Fi module, however, is rather slow. Most of the time we didn't reach more than 20 Mbit per second of throughput, and one floor below the router bandwidth dropped to around 10 Mbit per second. The internal speakers do sound relatively flat, but reach an okay volume level and don't show much distortion. Anyway, due to the strange placement, there is no real stereo sound. The headphone jack surprised us since, unlike many other Teclast devices, it delivers a very clear audio quality and doesn't suffer from any interferences. The integrated microphone is pretty much crap. Any recording done with it shows hell of a lot of background noise. The 5 megapixel main camera doesn't perform well either in both pictures and videos. The 2 megapixel front camera is even worse. They both really aren't good enough for more than video calls without any quality demands. The Teclast Tbook 16 Power is driven by a 8500 mAh lithium polymer battery, which in reality is even a bit larger than advertised. We measured around 9000 mAh. Battery life at first hasn't been good, but later on it came out to be pretty decent after reinstalling Windows. We now reach around 6 to 8 hours of use time with office tasks and 4 to 6 hours of video playback time. Charging the battery using a 3A power supply through the DC in port takes 3.5 hours, charging through the USB Type-C port is slower and takes 4 to 5 hours. If you don't have a 3A power supply, you can use 2 power supplies on both ports simultaneously, which speeds up charging. Verdict: the Teclast Tbook 16 Power basically is a pretty good tablet PC, but the low screen brightness kills it, except you are looking for something to use indoor only, of course. And in addition, there is the fact that the tablet suffers from obvious software issues. Examples for that are the high battery drain of the stock Windows install, as well as the Android crash after we run an OTA update. This for sure isn't something non-professional users want to be confronted with, so in the end we can only give a limited recommendation to those who don't mind those flaws. So that's all for this review. I'm Christopher for CMM, see you in the next one.